My Gavan and Melanin, welcome to my channel. Today is the day of our exciting news. I have Kella Tirniel with me, and she has been on my channel before. If some of you have seen the Elven spiritual video that we made, where we discussed Elven spirituality. And you may know this about me, but I never really thought that this could actually be a true spirituality, although I was using it as that way. It was how I was seeing the world and what I was trying to put out there in my videos and my channel with Elven wisdom. So I have some exciting news about our merger because this is us coming together. And first, I will have Calatir Niel just tell us a little bit about the Elven spiritual path and how it came about. And then we'll go to me, and then I'll explain what this is all about and why we are going to need your help. Hi, Calatirniel. Say hello.
Thank you. Hello. Aya, and welcome to everyone that is here tonight live. And even if you're watching the replay, we so appreciate your gift of energy right now. We want to say happy new moon to everyone. In Elven language and Elven calendar, this is the Queran Nadie, which is the new Elven moon of fire. And we, in our path, align this energy with Varda Elentari, the Queen of the Stars, and you may know her as Lady Elbereth from the stories. That's the same energy.
Perfect.
So, how do we start? Okay, so really, I guess I'll start with me. And there's so many. Okay, I just want to have a disclaimer here that every way of finding Elvenness within you is valid. Okay, just want to tell you, because everybody has such a really broad, unique story, and then we feel crazy and like there's nobody that understands us. Everybody feels like this. So we want to tell you that we have a wide variety of how everybody gets to the place where you are right now. And so my story starts, I guess that we could just say that, like, when I was 12 years old, I read, The Hobbit when we were kids in the 70s, and then watched the 1978 movie. And I thought it was great. I didn't, I was like, yes, this is awesome. But I wasn't saying, oh, I'm an elf yet. Okay. Like, that's not what was happening, or, anything like that. And I never read the Lord of the Rings. Like, it was something that was on the back burner, and I just never did. And when I was in my 30s, or late 20s, really, I woke up and became spiritual and really started following what could be classified as a neo-pagan path. Okay. And I made my own journey through that. And so I've been more in the alignment of what I would actually call pre-Christian European origin, spiritual alignment since the mid 90s. Okay. Just that's a good marker for that. So, I didn't. Okay. So then the movies came out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I never read Lord of the Rings. I should read that. I watched Fellowship of the Ring, and of course, like everybody, the elves enchanted me. And I'm like, wow, that feels more like a true elven archetype than the elven archetypes that I've encountered before. And then I re-met at that time who was to become my husband, and he's no longer here on the planet. Rest in peace, Ray. And he was an amazing Tolkien, he did everything Tolkien. He was very into it. And he told me I needed to read the Silmarillion if I really felt that the elven archetype that was presented in the movies was something to tune into. He said, you should read the Silmarillion, because it gives the whole background and the whole basically cosmology. And I'm like, okay, I'll take a look at that. Well, we moved to Montana, we get married, moved to Montana. And we find his crumbling yellow pages copy of the Silmarillion in some of our things. And he says, here, you got to read this. So this was 2005. All of the movies had already been done and out and everything. And I picked up the Silmarillion. And by now, somebody had already, like, that identifies themselves as an otherkin has already, like, saw me and tells me I'm an elf. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. You know, still didn't hit me like what was going on. I read Ainu Lindale and I read Valaquenta in the Silmarillion, and everything changed. My whole body started vibrating, and it would not stop vibrating. Okay, so I mean, I just kept doing that vibration, and I knew something was happening. I knew that other people had to feel this way. Okay, I didn't think that I was the only person that had read Tolkien and felt this way. But finding them was certainly a challenge. So after I had dug around on the internet for like hours at a time, and I found who is now, like in our books, Nathan Elwin. So he had helped co-found The Path, and he was trying to find someone like me for about 2 decades, possibly 3 decades already, and had not found anybody. It's usually role playing or some other type of thing that was happening. It wasn't like a true spiritual path, or they were, like, say for instance, like only Catholic, or something like that. Or if they were, pagan or whatever, they were pagan, but then they threw Tolkien in like seasoning rather than having it as a core of their spirituality. And that's okay too. But we were looking for the core of that. So when we couldn't find it, and we did some very diligent digging, we co-founded Tia Eldalieva, the Elven spiritual path. And we call it Elven spirituality, or TE for short, for some of you guys that may have seen the T and then the small e. We're talking about the path. And we founded that in August of 2005. And here we are today. We've been through a lot in the last, say 14 years, where it's been up and down. We had a lot of criticism from, like, we expected it from the scholars. We expected it from the, people aligned with Catholicism and Christianity, but we did not expect it from the pagan paths at the time. Now, I noticed today that there is a lot more openness about that. But back in 2005, there was a lot of angry people. Yeah. They were not very happy about that.
Yeah, people seem to be more accepting of others, as far as, I guess what I'm saying is, like, the barriers and the walls between people are coming down, starting to.
Yeah.
By those that are actually really on that path of, really transcending and kind of that ascension path, then we're gonna experience that. So
yeah, exactly. And then there's been people that have come into the group, like the Alira Dasinya, amazing like person. Just, I'm so fortunate to meet her. She gives Tia Eldalieva the best diversity picture that I can think of. She's African American. She was raised Christian. She has learned Eastern and Mayan, like through the Zolking, which doesn't that kind of sound like Tolkien? Yeah. The calendar and some of those types of things. And she's transgender, and she's a musician. So it's like, it just combines. So, and she gives such warmth and just amazing energy to the path. We have Erendiel, who is a first-class herbalist, who is running his clinic and curing people of cancer and lots of different things. Erendiel was our tech person for a little while when he, had some time. He also created Elven Speak, which I noticed that you did some promoing of. And yeah, that was something that he created, using Arda Lambion for the language protocol. And we also have Dave, Nathan Elwin, who was the co-founder. And over time, we've had some other people that have come, into the inner circle, and shared their gifts, and for whatever reason, has gone on to their own projects or what have you. So, no hard feelings or anything. Like, it's just sometimes it just works better that it's done in a different way, and we get it, because this can take a lot of energy, and we understand. So what it did was it left a perfect space for you, Kimber L, to come and join us, and that's what happened last week.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, everyone. So what I found out is that Calatirniel and the co-founders of Tia Eldalieva ended up saying that they've been watching me for a while, and they noticed my channel, and what I was trying to do was the same thing that they have basically done. But the difference was that I did not have some of the, I mean, they have a blog with a website that has so much research, and I was doing just a little bit of a glimmer of the Tolkien spirituality, but they really had everything there for you as far as going into the actual writings and really researching, like, what did the elves do for this certain time of the year, what kind of feast, what is the different types of rituals that they would do, that kind of thing. And they found it in all of the books that he wrote. And that's something that eventually I was going to get to. But as she knows, it takes years. I mean, okay.
It does.
Your book.
And one of the things that I wanted to share was that we also have, through Dr. Marcus Davidson, documented in academia, we are a real path. Okay, this is his a paper copy of his thesis, which you can read online for free. We have links on the website, as well as we refreshed a link on the Facebook page recently. And then this little beauty here is a lot of different paths that we are one of the paths that's featured in this. Okay, this here is actually from Oberon Zellravenhart's path from the 60s, which was the Church of All Worlds, if you guys ever want to look that up. And Morning Glory, his partner, who is no longer here on the planet, was very enthusiastic about Tolkien. I was very fortunate to meet her one time at PantheaCon and had a conversation, a brief one, but it was a wonderful conversation with her. And so I look into this, and this is by Carol Cusack and Pavel Koznak. It's called Fiction, Invention, and Hyperreality from Popular Culture to Religion. And what it is about is things that are, I guess, considered popular culture turning into a religious path. And Church of All Worlds was breaking the ground back in the 60s doing that with the Stranger in a Strange Land book. But you guys can, Wikipedia that or what have you. We wanted to do that with Tolkien, but in a way that wasn't, cultish or anything like that. We were just wanting to bring about Tolkien, not as our savior or something like that, but more as a prophet that brought the information forward for us to learn from. And then we in the Elven path use the Elven view of the overseeing of that cosmology and how it works. And it's very aligned with nature, as, Tolkien was. And so the other thing that I wanted to share was that this year, the Tolkien Society had a Tolkien the Pagan Reading Middle Earth Through a Spiritual Lens conference in the UK, and I don't know if it was at Oxford University. I'm not really sure where it was located, but I know that it was somewhere in the UK. And this book, made by Luna Press Publishing, is a book of all of the presentations, including Dr. Davidson's, that was on our path, that was there. So this is also available for purchase. And the Tolkien Society has their little symbol here on the back. So we've been around the block on that note, and we just felt that this is what we could offer to Kimber L so that she didn't have to start over. Okay. But the part that we wanted of Kimber L's efforts was her incredible way of outreach and her connection that she has with her audience. It's contagious. It's awesome. So welcome, Kimber L, to our family, and it's 6:22. That means it's 8:22 your time. Mm-hmm. Probably going to do an astrology chart on the merger.
So let's get down to it. So as soon as we decided to merge together our efforts and combine our energies, things started really happening very fast for us. And what I wanted to say is that before I even knew that they existed, I created this channel. And my sole purpose was to bring forth the Elven wisdom from the Tolkien viewpoint, because I believed that, like they as well, Tolkien saw the world in a very open-minded way, a very deeply spiritual way, and a very practical way too, in just the idea of morals and ethics and, you know, just good fun and making sure that you're living a good life. And I think that that's really what was so attractive to me. And so I made the Elven Light Path group because I took the idea of Elven light from the famous quote in his story about the idea that Aragorn saw the elven light within Arwen's eyes, and he knew that he loved her. And so elven light to me always means the wisdom beyond of our understanding, the wisdom that was in all of the years that the elves as immortal beings contained, and even beyond, because they were also connected to the Valar and Valinor, fairy itself. So the elven light, to me, light is illumination. It's knowledge, it's wisdom, it's self-realization. The elven wisdom was a way of getting this information out there to the world. And I didn't even know that the Elven Spiritual Path blog site existed. I didn't even know that their books did. So this is how I met Calatirniel. And as soon as we met, just a few days ago, met up about this idea of merging together, because she emailed me and she said, do you want to be part of the inner circle? I mean, this is just an idea, but I think that we can combine our energies together, and we can really do a lot together. And then we both had the same idea, along with the other co-founders, that we should make this an actual, true spiritual organization, a practice, not a religion in the idea of what people may see as religion, but a spiritual community that people can belong to. And that when people ask you for what religion you are, you can say, I follow the Elven spiritual path. And it includes, as she has told you about in the books, it includes pagans and theists holding hands together peacefully in union.
Yeah,
I think that
all Abrahamic religions, all Eastern religions, all even atheists. I mean, yeah. It's not a problem if you resonate with nature and you're open-minded and you feel a pull to the Tolkien Elven viewpoint. That's good. It doesn't matter how you do it. It just matters that you feel like in connection with the material, and it's not about like invalidating other materials. That's not what the purpose is for us. Right. And I know a lot of people, even though I'm a pagan kind of person, I happen to know in some ways a lot more like just spiritually open people that describe themselves as Christians, but they see the value of the Elven path and how Tolkien and maybe through his Catholicism, they can feel safe to go in those areas where a straight like Gardnerian like thing would scare them, or something like that. So if there is a bridge between Christians and pagans, it would probably be Tolkien.
I believe so. And I call those Christians, I call those Muslims, I call those Jews, I call those anybody who belongs to a religious path, and they're able to understand it in a not so literal way, where
Yeah.
they're really bound to the ritual and the laws within their religions, but actually see it in a spiritual way that really encompasses all types of paths, and they can see the truth within them, even though if they have a different opinion and perspective of what God is and what we all are, they still can understand at a very deep level that we all have a connection. There's an interconnection that we all have
Yeah.
together. And this is something that I have been trying to speak about on the channel a lot. And I think that this gives an opportunity. There's no really other, I think, spiritual organization that really takes from the idea of seeing paganism and theism together as one, and also atheism. The only thing I would say about atheists is that if you want to join our community, you do have to be a Tolkien lover, because we're going to use the legendarium of Tolkien to support and validate some of the spiritual wisdom that we hope to teach. And then
Yeah.
so that's important. And the only thing I would say about an atheist is that if they're not materialist atheists, where they don't believe that there's something beyond this world, they're going to have a hard time being part of our community, because we are all about really revealing that other wall of this physical world and seeing the spiritual and connecting to it, connecting through the Valar energy, and through the cosmic, archetypes of goodness and light and beauty. This is something that we're very much inspired by, and we are after in this organization. And you can belong to it, but you just have to believe in something beyond
Yeah.
this.
Exactly. Exactly. And well,
Beyond that.
aren't they talking like stir up right now? So I want to mention with the atheists, because I happen to know some atheists that, that they are, and I'm guessing that this would be like more spiritually open atheists, meaning that they understand that there is mysteries in nature that we haven't solved, and sometimes it's always going to be that way. It's not a matter of just only believing in what you can touch and what you can measure and what you can, put in a shoebox or put in some kind of category. There is an appreciation of like the all that is that can happen, and you can do that through an atheist lens if you just allow for the mystery. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Maybe what they are is, rather than being atheists, maybe what they really are is more agnostic, which would be a term for you just don't know. We don't know if there's a God or not. Okay. We don't know what the beyond has, but you're willing to entertain the mystery, and that is all that is probably required of you, like to embrace what the path is about. And I just wanted to tell people, this is a book that I donated an article to. This is Paganism 101. And in this is a section on Christian witchcraft. I mean, there's like lots of things in here. So I actually did an article on the Elven path for this book, because there are people that like the Christianity, like maybe they like their support system in their church, but they feel like really weird if they are a practicing witch too. Like they're like, how do I do this? The Elven path. Okay, that's how you do it, because the Elven path is not really threatening to Christians that way, at least open-minded Christians. And I have to say, we have a lot of open-minded Christians in our group already. Okay, like there might even be more of them than pagans at this point. I have not taken roll call, but I think that we've got about equal amounts.
And I would love, just on that note, I would love for there to become even more types of denominations represented in our community, because I think that we can really pull together this universalism and have that Tolkien viewpoint And there's something different about our community because we can provide a community for atheists that are looking for something, something interesting to belong to, something beautiful to belong to, and if they love nature. And I'll say this, Eru Iluvatar is not an outside source or a god to us within this organization. Eru Iluvatar is all that is, and you can get in touch with that within yourself. And it is about learning how to activate that within yourself, how to activate that elven light within yourself, and to really bring that creator part of you to this world and to harness that. You become the hands of Eru Iluvatar. And really, Eru Iluvatar is all of us as one. Every single thing that emanated from, from him, came directly to Middle Earth and Arda. I mean, if Eru wanted to wake up and just stop dreaming all of a sudden, stop thinking all of a sudden, all of that would disappear. And I think that that's how we can see it, is that it's about us. It's about us honoring the creator within all of us and getting in touch with the elven light, which is a pure, high vibrational light that is all about kind of transcending this material world, but also being able to harness that energy into this world so that if you're depressed, if you're lonely, if you go through your troubles and your struggles in life, the Elven path will help you believe in something beautiful beyond all of those struggles, because we have Este. We have rest and relaxation promised to all of you. And so when you keep that in mind, you realize, I have the energy of Este within me, because you go through your troubles, and Este was that Vala that was all about bringing forward that rest to those that would struggle in life. And I think that that's kind of the reminder that people really need once again. And I think that this kind of organization can bring that. So I don't think we should talk too long, because I know that we both can.
Yeah, there's lots of things to cover. I did want to tell everybody that is like, what is she talking about? The first two chapters, Ainu Lindale and Valaquenta in the Silmarillion. That's what we're talking about. If you read that, and it's, for some people it seems pretty biblical, like there's so much detail, but it's beautiful. That's what we're talking about.
It is, and I have several videos about it because
it's
it's because I also see creation in that way, and I also see almost the way that the universe came about and how we came about in that way. And it's about really getting in touch with the goddess and God part of ourselves and bringing that forward. And I think that when you embrace the elven part of you, you become your highest version of self on earth. And I really do believe that. And I think that this spiritual path can provide that for people that are looking for that. And one of the things that we wanted to say too is that this is not just going to be an online community. We will extend this to offline. So part of our reason why we're having this is because we realize that in order to create a spiritual organization or religion, it's called, the IRS will not allow the founders to contribute any money to start it out. And it is $600. And so we need to get it from the crowd. We cannot put our own money into it because we are the founders of it. So we are asking for everybody to put $1 to $5, if you can, on our GoFundMe account, which I left a link in the description for you. If you want to be part of this community, if you want to say to people, I follow the Elven Light Path, I'm an elf, I'm really embracing that, then we ask that you donate a little bit so that we can start this off for you, because we have everything. We even have Christopher Tolkien's blessing in a way, because he knew about the Elven spiritual path. Do you want to say this, Calatir Niel?
I know that he knows about, well, it was actually, last I heard, now if it was directly from Christopher, wow, okay, I didn't know that it was directly from Christopher if that actually happened. What I understood is that it was Christopher Tolkien, who had given his okay blessing to Foxanger, who did the Ardalambian website and program for learning Elvish, and you can do that for free on his website and also through the Elven Speak app, which makes that even easier. Then I understand that some of the folks involved in that also recognized us as like an Elven path. So if I got that wrong, I apologize. But it was actually, that actually occurred through the sister organization with Tia Eldalieva called Il Salunte Valion, which is still like in Dave's sphere because they actually were more of the research branch, if you will. We were more kind of the outreach, bringing people in. They were kind of digging into the material and finding several scholars. We have Dr. Straight, who wrote us a poem like years ago. We have Dr. Corey Olson, who is the Tolkien professor, and he is well aware of our path. We have Dr. Davidson, who did the amazing job that he did on his alternative, religions founded on pop culture. He started his journey with wanting to cover Jediism, and it was a little bit too shallow for him, actually, because it didn't have the backstory that Tolkien's work did, because technically Tolkien was working on his backstory for decades, not just like, oh, I'm going to write a story and, we'll actually base it on this. Nothing wrong with George Lucas, by the way, but it just wasn't as in-depth as Tolkien. Tolkien literally discovered a whole other realm. And I think that people that get it, they get it.
Let's talk about that. So
okay.
That's part of the reason why we believe that this can become an actual spiritual path. I had a recent video about his Atlantis haunting. So what I understand that Tolkien was doing was he was somebody that had a lot of vision within him and an understanding that humanity can go many ways. There's many different pathways and timelines that humanity can go, and it determines the evolution of humans. And so what I believe that he was trying to say in his stories, and it's going to come across now within our organization, is the idea that when the world focuses outwardly, on greed and power and what they can acquire on the outside, they lose themselves and they, they go to the dark side. And so he was about really bringing in some of the inner qualities that we can find within ourselves and focus on really working on the inner part of us in order to really evolve ourselves. And so his books were never just fantasy to me. They were messages, they were visions. And that's really where I am on that, and so is the Elven Spiritual Path. And this is what the organization is going to
100%. 100%. It is not just stories. Nothing wrong with just stories, by the way. I mean, I see value in like what George Lucas brought forth. And I see tremendous value in what even C.S. Lewis brought forth. I mean, we definitely love when, the human imagination can get reveled into story. But Tolkien is a whole other level.
Yes. And this organization, my vision with it is that we will have an Elven temple one day.
Yes. Let's have an Elven temple with waterfalls and the woods and
that's where we will hold our meetings, and we'll be able to teach. And I'm becoming a priestess of the Elven path. So I hope to be there and to be able to teach and meet people, and we'll have it as a place where we'll have beautiful art, and it'll just be a place where we can come together as Elven souls, as Tolkien lovers, as those that really appreciate the beauty of this path, the beauty of nature, and come together in a place. And we are so excited to start this journey with all of you. And so all of you who donate, you would be our community. You would be part of the Elven path. Even if you don't want to say it as your religion or your spiritual orientation, then we still would appreciate your generosity to help us in this way.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
you don't
I
have,
wanted to mention also that if we get more than the actual amount for what is happening with the filing of the 501c3, which that is what a nonprofit organization does, I think that the next step would probably be so that we could hire an artist or something for creating the symbol, and thereby jewelry or like t-shirts or something, so that people can identify and like themselves by wearing a symbol if they so choose. I think that that would be like a really good next step, because we have some prototypes of art, but we need to get that tightened up and figure out how to make that practical at this point.
speaking about that, that's so funny you say that, because after my whole time with the Hyperions, which I'm not going to say much about them, but
Oh, you already did in your other
yeah,
video.
it's just a different path. But
Yes.
we're after the same things in to an extent.
Yeah.
I have said this before, and I guess I can say this right now, because at some point I do have to make a stand. When Morg speaks about religion, it to me is very black or white. And as a mystical person who interprets things from a spiritual viewpoint, I don't see it that way. And I know that Christian mystics exist. I've met Sufis, I've studied Sufism. I know that the mystical part of Islam is really beautiful. So that is the difference, is that I think that what we can do is not take away people's religion, but allow it to dissolve the borders between one another. And the Elven spiritual path is a way to do this. And I see that. And I started to create the symbol of the two trees coming together. And, people on my Facebook page were like, I like that. And then
Yeah.
you contacted me and Dave contacted me, and you're like, we need to talk, because it was stopping me in the process of doing something that you were already doing. But I went to the Hyperions because I needed a network. I was at the point where I was like, I want to expand my mind and network with like minds. But I found my true network, and that
Yeah.
is where
I think you learned a lot from the Hyperion experience, though, because I think that they're doing a lot of things right as far as like, helping folks with their viewpoints connect with them and interact and feel heard. They feel understood by people. That is a gift. And so I feel that, like, even if it wasn't exactly a match for you, which is totally great, I think you had to go through that so that you could see how, I don't know, how things work.
Well, as soon as I did, then I met you all, and then you decided to invite me. So,
Well, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, we knew each other kind of before,
yeah.
like with the interviews and whatnot, but yeah, we had to pull the trigger.
Well, the stars were aligned. So,
Indeed. Thank you, Varda Elentari.
But we can't. So we have all of this in place. We are ready to become a full organization, to be recognized by the IRS, and just to be recognized as an actual official path. This is no longer
Yes.
an online community. This is something that you can belong to, and it would be
so it's tax deductible. Actually, for some folks that they're wondering if that's tax deductible. Yes, it is, because we'll actually have the nonprofit status for you to be able to deduct it on your taxes too.
And that's the other thing too, is this will be an organization which we hope that we can contribute a lot to help nature, the reforestation, all of the things that we want to do as Elven souls. We will use it with this name in mind, so that we can really become, an organization that does good in the world. It's not just about this.
Exactly. That's where I was going to, in fact, I was going to actually ask our audience whether you are viewing live or whether you are viewing the recording, doesn't matter which. what would you guys like to learn first? Would you like to learn Elvish language? Would you like to learn herbalism? Would you like to learn the stars? Okay, and some of the resonation with like the legendarium, like crossed over into the stars with astronomy or astrology, because we have people that are, you know, kind of already doing these types of things, and it would be really great to share those things with your contribution, because we don't want it to be just a one-way street. We want it to be a, you know, a flowing, balanced, you know, nature does that. Nature balances. So we want it to be like a thing where we provide back.
And now that I am joining you, I am going to, so my channel is going to change a little bit. And the idea that now I have a very clear focus. I am going to teach the Elven spirituality now. It's no longer just Elven wisdom, it's going to be Elven spirituality. And so people in the comments, whatever you are interested in hearing, these are the ways that we're going to kind of gauge what.
Yeah, everybody is actually going to be like invited to journey with us on the journey of the year, like the Loa, the calendar year, because that's how we started. We started aligning with nature really via the seasons. And so this particular moon that we're having right now, we feel the moon of fire. You know, studying this at, you know, in October, you know, isn't really, that doesn't really work too well. Okay. Study in October what is happening in October so you can feel it and get it into the feeling of the time. And so for this particular time, it's the month of the Numenorian month of Nadia, which is how we had to name our moons because of the way that the calendar is. The Elven calendar itself only has the 6 seasons. So there's the 2 long seasons, and they're not of equal length. Okay, the summer, which has the solstice right in the middle, and the winter are the longest seasons. And isn't that interesting that it's where the sun is still, solstice? That's what that means. And then when the sun is ripping along, okay, back and forth, those are the 2 shorter seasons. So the elves have 6 seasons, and we needed to name the moon something else instead of, like, you know, the second one of summer or something like that. So we decided to use the Numenorian calendar, and we discovered that through learning the meanings of the months, that we could align like different parts of the Valar and other elements of Tolkien's legendarium to learn about in that particular time. And I will tell you that it's not the only way to do it, because Il Salunte Valion actually kind of changed the calendar around in order to learn it their way, and it still works. So I just want to tell you that we have a set method, but it's not the only one. Okay.
And let's just say that's
okay.
the thing that you would get about the Elven spiritual path, is that you would get not only the Elven wisdom and kind of the viewpoint of the elves, but you would also get the rituals of the elves. And so that, I think, though, that combination, because my channel and me as a white witch, I'm more of a mentalism, where everything is coming from my thoughts and my meditations. But the rituals really help. And so there's a combination that can really help those that learn best when they're doing something. And so we will have that for those who like ritual practice. And then we will have more of just kind of the Elven wisdom, the spiritual kind of knowledge passed down to those that really just need to take it into their mind, and they don't necessarily need to do the ritual. And that's really great, because it's basically like the 2 different learners. It really does kind of, it encompasses all the different ways that you learn best.
And many of your folks also have the Ritual of Enderi book, which this is only one ritual out of the entire calendar year. And in the back, you'll know about pretty much all of the holidays, but we had added, and like the Queron, Yosil Virese. So we have the several, like, you know, there's a ritual every 2 weeks if you look at just the new moons and full moons.
Your Varga one is coming out soon, correct?
Yes. Yeah. let's see, 6-3. Okay, no, we had recently, well, actually, the next solar holiday is going to be the summer, of which the city of Gondolin was celebrating the midsummer, like, because they'd stay up all night and things like that. So yeah, that's the next one. But this one is for the September 25th through the 27th, because Enderi is 3 days long. It's called the Middle Days. And it's literally in between the Elven New Year, which is March 28th, and March 27th, which is Matare. So it's literally in the middle. And this time was used as the elves to travel and do other things, because it was kind of the harvest season. So they traveled around, and it was like a time of, reconnection with that time of the year.
And that's what we will be able to offer, is these rituals to help those that really want to feel the spiritual path in that way. And then we'll have more of the legendarium type of elven wisdom that comes from the Valar and comes from the actual elves. So I'm really excited. I know that there were a lot of people that said, I'm in. So we just ask for your help, because we cannot do this on our own. I would put the 600, someone else would. I mean,
yeah,
we just can't. And
we're not allowed, straight up. Thank
yeah.
you, IRS. It's just, that's what happens.
Right. So that's why we absolutely need everybody to help out that is an elven soul. That
even if it's $1, I'm serious. Like, even if it's $1, okay, that is doable. That's like what you would go to the dollar store and spend. It's all welcome. I do want to tell you that no donation is too small, really.
Yeah, and we are just trying to hit $600. That is the amount of the license that we need to file, and then we are set. We are an official organization, a community that you can belong to. And what I want to say to those that don't know a lot about Tolkien as much as we do, because we do all the research and we have lives.
I actually have a joke about this. I actually know the appendices better of Lord of the Rings than the actual story.
I'm sure you do. But what I want to say is that you don't need to worry about that. That will come.
Yes.
It will almost sort of flow and become second nature and very intuitively felt as you go along this path. And that's what I realized about this. And that's why I jumped aboard, because I thought that this is something that a lot of people can benefit from. Like I said, it's a beautiful path, and it's one that already many people are probably kind of living intuitively as it is, but now it's real. It's a solid organization.
And it's even legit, like, to be looked at by the IRS as an actual, religious and charitable organization. So
yeah, it will.
Yeah, this is exciting. We've been talking about this for years, and Kimberell comes aboard, and it's like, we're doing this. It's like, okay. And we've been online like incessantly trying to figure out how to make this work. So all of us put together. Thank you, Alira. We wish you could be here tonight, because she has been an integral part of the setup of making this happen. So like, we're looking for the support of our like combined audience to really, really make this go forward. And we have like bonus plans if we raise more money, and we'll come at you with some videos about that later, because I have a feeling it'll be the art that's next for the symbol.
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay.
So I think we should leave everyone. Please go to the GoFundMe link in the description. And it gives you a really nice kind of bio about the Elven spiritual path, and where I am coming in and why we are asking for this. And thank you so much for your generosity. And we appreciate everything that you can donate to us, so we can really get this started for you. And I'm looking so forward to not only joining into this organization and this community with those that follow my channel and those that follow the Tia Eldalieva blog, but actually those that haven't even seen this video yet and maybe haven't even seen the blog yet, but something inside of them says, I love the elves. I resonate with the elves. I resonate with Tolkien. Gosh, I wish I could live like them. I wish I could actually apply all of what's in Tolkien's stories into my own life. Well, I have news for you. Now you can.
You can. You can.
You definitely can. And it will make your life take a different turn. I can say that with absolutely full confidence, and Calatir Niel can also confirm this, that several of the co-founders, before they started really working on the Elven spiritual path, their life was, in turmoil, and it was hard for them. But as soon as they really connected to the Elven energy and the Valar energy, and they really applied that, and just expanded on their knowledge, their lives changed, because
Absolutely.
it really does.
Absolutely.
I know
Absolutely.
personally I changed. For those of you who have followed me from the very beginning, if you go back to my oldest video, I think you will see this kind of like a lack of confidence, and I wasn't really sure, but I was getting these intuitive kind of pullings to start this channel because I knew that it was time. I knew that humanity needed to see a different perspective on things and really bring in the Elven energy back and the Elven wisdom back, along with other souls that are doing that. And so that's how I became, one of the first YouTube channels to do that. And I have changed so much with all of my research and all of my, all the videos that I made. So I can be a true testament to the idea that I came into my goddess self. I am now today fully a priestess, and I feel it. And I feel like every single soul can benefit in this way, where they gain total control over their lives. Not in the way that you control things, but you learn how to flow. You learn how to move with the challenges, and you learn how to accept them, and you learn how to appreciate the beauty and the teachings of wisdom, of nature. And I believe that that is what can really offer someone a second life, a new awakening. And that's why we call it the second awakening of the elves. I made a little joke about that, but I believe that
I think that's totally what's going on. So just on that note, I can share to the degree of that Nathan Elwin actually is definitely, his life changed once this path came. And what's interesting is that, so while he was looking for like people like us for some 20 years before we existed, okay, before the connections were possible, and the internet really helped, connect us for that. And we met through Martin Baker, who used to run alttolkien.com. And he sadly is no longer really running the site. Like, you can see the archives of the site, but I am so thankful that he connected Nathan and I, because right after that, okay, so at first, I remember talking to him like when we first met, and we got on the phone, and he was grieving his father's death. He was alone. He was he had a lot of disabilities, and some of the things that have happened, and the disabilities are something that you kind of carry no matter what is happening. But you can also know the life changes that he had when soon after he brought me into his energy, he literally met his spouse, like, I think 2 months later. I mean, it was like bam, bam, like just everything changed for him. He has a family now. Their child is absolutely so light. I mean, oh, she's just amazing. And I know that it was supposed to happen.
Yes, it's about allowing you to become the sovereign being that that you hear about. And one thing I want to say before we lead people to go read the GoFundMe is the idea that this has everything to do with the future of humanity. And I believe that deep in my heart. I believe that this is about our our spiritual evolution. And this is not the only path. There's other paths, but this particular path is for those souls that choose the Elven evolution. The
Yeah, and by the way, some people may feel that they are an elf as an identity, and that's okay. But we also have people that feel human but want to follow elven ways. And that's actually more common. That is also welcome. So we just want you to know that both of those viewpoints are welcome.
And we were talking, we want the hobbits to join us.
Oh, that's right. We're okay with that.
We're okay with that because the
Tolkien, Tolkien, the overgrown hobbit, who was with an elven princess spouse, right?
So friends of elves and humans that feel that, you know, they just really connect to this way and love Tolkien in this aspect, then they're all invited. You are all invited. And together we will see how far this goes. And who knows, maybe 500 years from now, this can be a pathway that many people have chosen for themselves. And there's no telling what the future holds. And what we can do together as a large community of souls that are getting in touch with that elven light, that's a very powerful energy.
Yeah, and we're feeling the call because I think that the elves were the original, like, if you will, stewards of the earth, along with the Valar and, you know, all of the beings after the song was sung that committed to Arda and the perpetuation of the original vision of Eru Iluvatar.
So we're excited to go on this journey with you, and thank you so much for tuning in. I don't want this to be too long, but thank you once again.
Thank you.
Hananle. And we'll see you on another video.
Light blessings to all of you.
Namarie.